Hello. Good morning, everyone. So, let's start. Okay. These are some questions I have mentioned here. These things we discussed. You know. Yes. This communicative list of process and how approach guides to method and technique we discussed, and what are the communicative principles, and each level, secondary level is based on communicative principles we did, and list out at least 5 activities based on communicative approach. Do English teachers in Nepal use them while teaching English? You can discuss with examples the lesson sequence of content and language integrated learning approach. What is content integration? Possible answer we mentioned here. And what is task-based approach to language teaching and learning? List out at least 5 tasks from lower secondary English curriculum. Select one task and describe the basic steps using that task in grade 6. You can struggle task go reading map and giving direction. Use garne and yeah, what I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Edit 5 वटा पहिला हामी कोअपरेटिभ एप्रोचको कुरा गरौँ. So there are some still some approaches like cooperative approach and natural approach. In our last class we discussed about task-based approach, content-based, containing language integrated approach. Task-based task is a central unit. Task is the central point, and that is most important in task-based approach. Task will be given. Task is piece of work. Piece of work that is communicative, that is interactive, that is collaborative in nature. So task and activity we differentiated. We saw one figure given by John Corwett. 2003. Task is what broad concept and activity. Task ma ke goal huncha, learner's role, teacher's role, activity, setting, so these components will be in task. Task ma huncha. Just the reading map and giving direction is one task. And to use to apply these tasks in the classroom, we can use different activities. Tasks with activities also. Yes, giving a reading map and giving direction. Role play activity technique use गर्न सक्छौं. अनि गएर role play चाहिँ technique use गर्न सक्छौं त्यसभित्र चाहिँ. अनि त्यस्तै गरेर telephone conversation is another task. In telephone conversation also role play technique can be used. So tasks भनेको broad हो, communicative हुन्छ, interactive हुन्छ, collaborative हुन्छ in nature. So a long list of tasks will be selected in the task-based approach. Tasks will select that tasks are the units of planning, lesson planning, curriculum development, So tasks are important. Task-based approach, and the ultimate goal is what? Developing communicative competence. So task-based approach is one example of communicative approach. And communicative approach ko एउटा उदाहरण हो. So there are different communicative approaches. Out of them, task-based approach is one. भन्ने हिजो हामी कुरा गर्यौं. अनि हिजो हामी content and language integrated approach मा पनि थियौं. Content and language integrated approach मा so content and language will be integrated in a lesson. So focus is on not only content, not only language. Language भनेको for example, we learn skills. We learn skills like listening, speaking, reading, writing. We learn to communicate. At the same time, content भनेको so main content area, main message, main theme, main gist will be learned at the same time. So content and language at the same time will be integrated. For example, for example, our community, our society, technology and market, these are what theme. So theme or content will be selected in content and language integrated approach, and they are the units of planning. Task-based task unit of planning भने जस्तै स्किलमा चाहिँ content and language integrated learning मा चाहिँ themes are what? Central unit, planning unit. So themes are selected, learning outcomes will be there. Through the use of themes, we achieve learning outcomes. That was the lesson sequence when it's happened. अब आज हामी cooperative language learning approach मा जान्छौं. Cooperative language learning approach, interesting here. Question is given here: how do learners learn language according to cooperative language learning approach? Cooperative language learning approach अनुसार how do learners learn language? सिकारुले भाषा कसरी सिक्छ हैन? Describe at least 4 cooperative language learning activities that are useful in English language class. So हेर्नुस् त यहाँ अब यसलाई आन्सर कसरी लेख्ने? How do learners learn language according to cooperative language learning approach? यहाँ मैले चाहिँ के एक्टिभिटी राखेको छु. Jigsaw activities like jigsaw listening, jigsaw reading we can use. Peer work and group work. Think, pair and share, TPS technique or activity. Interviews, interview activities, cooperative projects, communicative games we use. So from these activities, you have to imagine or you have to guess what is cooperative approach. So there is one statement. Your statement but मैं यहाँ राखेको छु. यो statement बाट पनि बुझ्न सकिन्छ. यसले के भन्छ ल पढ्नुस् हैन. So if you want to walk fast, travel alone. If you want to walk far, travel together. के भनेको यो? Can you write in the chat box? यो बुझ्नुभयो भने cooperative language learning approach बुझिन्छ. If you want to walk fast, travel alone. If you want to walk far, travel together. What does this mean? Sound clear, China? Sound. What about sound? My sound is not clear. It's still not clear. Okay, I'm not much clear. Okay. It's fine. Can you hear now? Okay. Yes. Okay. Now let's talk about cooperative approach. And this you want to walk. If you want to walk fast, तपाईं चाँडो हिँड्न चाहनुहुन्छ भने ट्राभलर एक्लै जानुस्, चाँडो पुग्नुहुन्छ हैन. If you want to walk far, टाढासम्म जान चाहनुहुन्छ भने travel together. सँगसँगै यात्रा गर्नुहोस्. What is this? What is this? चाँडो जान चाहनुहुन्छ भने एक्लै जानुहोस्, टाढा जान चाहनुहुन्छ भने सँगसँगै जानुहोस्. कोअर्डिनेसन, कोलाबोरेसन, लर्निङ इज सस्टेनेबल. Yes, that is what sustainability we have to seek. यसले खोजेको के हो भने लर्निङमा सस्टेनेबिलिटी खोजेको. सस्टेनेबल लर्निङ, SUSTAINABLE, सस्टेनेबल लर्निङ. दिगो सिकाइ हुनु पर्यो हैन, सिकाइ पछिको लागिसम्म हुनु पर्यो. त्यसको लागि चाहिँ के हुनु पर्यो भने learning together, engaging students in the classroom activity, so they have to come to share their ideas, they have to discuss, they have to interact, they have to debate, they have to negotiate, they have to decide, they have to conclude, they have to share the conclusion. So these are what different process activities that we want to develop or we want to create in English language classroom. If students they engage, they discuss, they share, they debate, they decide and conclude and share what happens. So there will be what broad understanding, comprehensive learning will be there. So this kind of learning is expected. So weaker one, stronger ones, they interact. So all type of students can get benefit, and this will be what inclusive teaching also. So cooperative language learning approach focuses to cooperative teaching, inclusive teaching also. Okay. Inclusive teaching also. सबैलाई समेट्छ यो एप्रोच चाहिँ, सबैले समेट्ने भन्छ हैन. So most talented and talented and talented and weaker, poor learners work together हैन. सँगसँगै काम गरेपछि के हुन्छ? So all will learn, and talented and poor learners work together, or what to say, they share, they engage, collaborate, cooperate, and learn together. So this cooperative approach adopts the principle of two heads are better than one head. एउटा दिमाग भन्दा धेरै दिमाग हैन. Two heads are better than one head. भने जति धेरै हुन्छ त्यति के हुन्छ भने फरक पर्सपेक्टिभबाट हेरिन्छ, एकबाट अर्कोले बेनिफिट लिन्छ. सो यो भनेको कोलाबोरेसन देन कम्पिटिसन हो. Than competition. We don't do competition, we collaborate. So in the traditional teaching and learning, there used to be competition. Then unfair, type of competition, and learning, there would be learning gap also, कसैले धेरै सिक्ने कसैले सिक्दैन हैन, त्यस्तो ग्याप देखिन्थ्यो. तर अहिले चाहिँ this is the modern sense. In the modern time, not competition, but collaboration we expect. So students, talented students, poor students, moderate type of students, they work together, they share their ideas, and they learn from each other. So all type of students, will get benefit from this, communicative, cooperative approach. पहिला ट्यालेन्टेडले नै लिड गर्थ्यो हैन, talented students, active students, so creative students, they used to lead, or they used to be always in the front. But in the modern sense, like cooperative approach, so all kinds of students, they work in group, they share their ideas, they learn from each other. So collaboration is what preferred than competition in cooperative language learning approach. And activity भनेको यो जिक्सा पेयर वर्क ग्रुप or think pairs, interview, cooperative projects, and communicative games we use. अब यति थाहा भइसकेपछि अब यसलाई आन्सरमा लैजाउँ न तपाईलाई है। कोअपरेटिभ एप्रोच एउटा कम्युनिकेटिभ एप्रोचको उदाहरण हो भन्ने कुरा हामीलाई थाहा छँदैछ, किनकि जिक्सा एक्टिभिटिज, पेयर वर्क, ग्रुप वर्क, think parents, interviews, team work, cooperative projects, communicative games. If we use in the class, what happens? There will be communication, there will be interaction, there will be sharing, there will be learning from each other. Then we can say first sentence, cooperative approach is one example of communicative approach. This approach intends to create fun and engagement in English class, language class भने पनि भयो हैन, GUAG in English language class. Fun should be there, engagement should be there. Okay, so engagement itself, a very important concept. So just we can write. Just a minute. So there are three, meaning about engagement. Okay, the term engagement here refers to engagement. Like REFERS refers to engagement. Like INVOLVE, involved in, one is involving, enthusiastic about. Another one is committed to work, COMMITTED, committed to work. Linus, these three ideas, engagement भनेको यो तीनटा कुरा हो, involving, enthusiastic about, and committed to work. तीनटा कुरा चाहिँ देखिन पर्यो के engagement हुँदाखेरि. Engagement here refers to involve in, सहभागी हुनु पर्यो, संलग्न हुनु पर्यो त्यहाँ हैन. Enthusiastic about, एकदमै जिज्ञासु हुनु पर्यो, सक्रिय हुनु पर्यो केही काम गर्नको लागि. Committed to work, र उसले के भन्छ commitment देखाउँछ, प्रतिबद्धता देखाउँछ कि I have to do this, I have to also contribute something, I have to also I can also solve it, my ideas are also valuable here भन्ने जस्तो commitment, committed to work. So this kind of involvement, enthusiastic feeling, committed to work, so are expected in engagement. Engagement भनेको यो हो हैन. Communicative approach is one example of communicative approach. This approach intends to create fun and engagement in English language class. Engagement here refers to involving, enthusiastic about, committed to work. Paragraph change. Describe communicative. Describe at least 4 cooperative language learning activities that are useful. त्यो भन्दा अगाडि यो तल लेखौ न हैन. So cooperative approach cooperative approach expects expects to engage, collaborate, and engage, collaborate, cooperate, engage, collaborate, cooperate, communicate, negotiate, and decide. Decide and what? Conclude. Conclude the meanings and message of the text or content. So meaning and message. So collaboration, then competition is preferred. Sorry, is PREFE preferred. Collaboration. Now share. So cooperative approach expects to engage, collaborate, cooperate, communicate, negotiate, decide and conclude. Learn the decide and conclude. The meanings and messages of the text or content. Collaboration, then competition is preferred. In cooperative activities. कम्पिटिसन भन्दा पनि प्रतिस्पर्धा गर्नु भन्दा पनि सहकार्य गर्ने के सँगसँगै मिलेर जाने सबैले हैन आफ्नो आफ्नो आइडियाहरु शेयर गर्ने सबैको आइडियालाई सम्मान गर्ने respect to what each other's ideas, everybody's ideas, and meaningful participation from each meaningful participation of every participant or every learners, then respect भयो, respect for diversity, विविधतालाई सम्मान गर्ने कुरा भयो, meaningful participation सबैको सहभागिता अर्थपूर्ण हुनु पर्यो, then what equitable learning हैन, quality and equitable learning is ensured, गुणस्तरीय र समतामूलक सिकाइ चाहिँ सुनिश्चित गरिन्छ भने यहाँ तीनटा कुरा चाहिँ आउने हो हैन. So collaboration then competition is preferred in cooperative activities while conducting these activities, while conducting activities based on this approach, the following steps should be followed. यो स्टेपहरु चाहिँ फलो गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा आयो. Number 1, what we have to do, respect for diversity. विविधता छ भनेर पहिला चिन्न पर्यो. Respect for diversity. विविधता छ क्लासमा. So students from learners from different backgrounds, they have different levels of understanding, and they have they are of different levels, different linguistic levels, different learning levels, they have different interest level also. So this kind of diversity we have to respect for. विविधता छ भनेर पहिला चाहिँ पहिचान गर्नु पर्यो, त्यसलाई सम्मान गर्नु पर्यो हैन. Identify and respect the diversity. Just a minute, my battery is low. Yes. So first step is what we have to respect the diversity. Then ensure meaningful participation. अर्थपूर्ण के हुनु पर्यो, सहभागिता हुनु पर्यो हैन. त्यस भइसकेपछि के हुन्छ, EQU ITABL, equitable and quality learning we can ensure. So cooperative learning ma आफै सिक्ने हैन अनि गएर भनौं न कम्पिटिसन गर्ने प्रतिस्पर्धा गर्ने एक आपसमा भन्दा पनि we respect for the diversity सबैसँग विविधता हुन्छ कसैले के जानेको हुन्छ कसैले के जानेको हुन्छ कसैले कुन एंगलबाट हेरिरहेको हुन्छ कसैले कुन एंगलबाट हेरिरहेको हुन्छ डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिभ्स विल बी देयर फरक फरक दृष्टिकोण हुन्छ एन्ड यसलाई सम्मान गर्न पर्यो पहिलो कुरो एन्ड इन्स्योर मिनिङफुल पार्टिसिपेसन मिन्स अल लर्नर्स शुड गेट चान्स टु इन्भल्भ एन्ड एंगेज हैन एंगेज देन व्हेन दे अल get opportunity to engage and collaborate, negotiate, communicate, and decide or conclude the meaning and message of the text. And there should be what equitable and quality learning. This is the what process. अब communicative learning, cooperative language learning approach ले चाहिँ यो तीनटा कुराहरुलाई इन्भल्भ engagement माथि engagement मा तीनटा कुरा आयो हैन engagement मा चाहिँ involved in, enthusiastic about, committed to work on. So activities ma chahi conducting activities the following steps चाहिँ हामीले तीनटा हामीले अवलम्बन गर्ने भयौं. We respect for the diversity, we ensure the meaningful participation, and we achieve the equitable and quality learning according to the what cooperative approach. It is therefore cooperative approach in language class envisions, envisions means what is envisions? Envisions means यसले परिकल्पना गर्छ के envisions what inclusive teaching and learning. Okay, just a minute. There is one reminder. Yes, inclusive envisions inclusive teaching and learning. समावेशी शिक्षण सिकाइ के teaching and learning. सबैले सिक्नु पर्यो के सबैले सिक्नु पर्यो हैन inclusive teaching and learning. This approach also focuses on sustainable sustainable learners, inclusive teaching, sustainable learning, because it believes on केमा विश्वास गर्छ it believes on the saying भनाइ हैन saying that के मतलब if you want to walk fast चाँडो हिँड्न चाहनुहुन्छ भने ट्राभल एलोन यो भनेको कम्पिटिसन हो ट्राभल एलोन एक्लै जानुस् भनेको कम्पिटिसन भने हो if you want to walk far भनेको सस्टेनेबिलिटी खोज्या हो के दिगो सिकाइ हुनु पर्यो if you want to walk far travel together भनेको सँगसँगै टाढा जान चाहने हो भने समूहमा काम गर हैन समूहमा सिक हैन सबैले मिलेर सिक सँगसँगै जाऊ त्यो नै के हुन्छ भने त्यो दीर्घकालीन हैन यो that will be for long term sustainable learning ansai. So this is what cooperative language learning approach believes and focuses on in English class. Yesko mormana यही हो communication the communication भइहाल्छ हैन but at the same time what happens there will be this kind of learning collaborative learning cooperative learning together all students learning inclusive teaching equitable quality learning we can ensure we respect and we respect for diversity we secure or we ensure meaningful participation of each learner. So this kind of flavors we see in in cooperative language learning approach. अब यो cooperative language learning approach ले कस्तो एक्टिभिटी युज गर भन्छ त भनेर हेर्न पर्यो. अब हाउ डु लर्नर्स लर्न ल्याङ्ग्वेज अकॉर्डिंग टु कोअपरेटिभ ल्याङ्ग्वेज लर्निङ एप्रोच कसरी सिक्छ भन्ने सन्दर्भमा के engagement is necessary. So this kind of different steps should be followed, and now different activities should be used. If it is therefore cooperative approach in language class envisions inclusive teaching and learning. This approach also focuses on sustainable learning, because it believes on the saying that if you want to walk fast, travel alone. If you want to walk far, travel together. This is the main claim of this approach regarding language learning. यो main claim नै यसको यही हो हैन. Now अब जानुस् अब अर्को क्वेशनमा जाउँ. यहाँ अर्को क्वेशन छ describe at least 4 cooperative language learning activities. अब यहाँ प्याराग्राफ चेन्ज गर्दियौं. The 4 cooperative language learning activities are given below. भन्नुस् यो दिन जिक्समा पनि all students they take part. जिक्समा पनि धेरै साथीहरुले हैन यसमा many students they take part, or let's say whole class they take part. सबैले लिन्छ हैन. We will divide into different groups, and students in different groups they get the tasks, work, and they discuss in the group, and again they share in another group. यसरी गर्दाखेरि के हुन्छ भने whole class in cooperative in group teamwork मा काम गर्छ, group work हुन्छ, team हुन्छ, and that's what cooperative language learning त्यो भनिहाल्छ. So peer work and group work also, teamwork also. What happens? Students in different groups they will be organized and they will be working on a particular topic. So think, peer, and share also. There will be peer. First they think, then they come together and they share each other. So 3 steps will be here. You think, peer, share ma step hai huncha. पहिला individually सोच्छ. In think, peer, and share 3 process will be used. Like students or learners individually think. Individually think. पहिलो step. दोस्रो step, they are paired. तिनीहरुलाई जोडीमा राख्ने. They are paired with the close friends. नजिकको साथीसँग पेयरमा लगिदिन्छ. They share in the pair. जोडीमा शेयर गर्छन्. हैन, this is what think, pair, and share activity. 3टा स्टेप हुन्छ यसमा. यो व्याख्या गर्दा डिस्क्राइब गर्दा यसरी गर्दियौ. जिक्सा हामीले गरिराछौं पहिलादेखि नै हैन. जिक्सा लिसनिङ को गरे पनि भयो, जिक्सा रिडिङ को गरे पनि भयो एक्जाम्पल लागि हैन. ग्रुप वर्क or pair work you can do this हैन. यसलाई ग्रुप वर्क मात्र भन्दिनुस् न. ग्रुप वर्क or टीम वर्क. ग्रुप or टीम वर्क. किनभने कोअपरेटिभ एप्रोचले धेरै विद्यार्थीहरु धेरै लर्नर्सहरु एकैचोटी engage हुन पर्छ भन्छ. त्यही भएर ग्रुपमा जाऊ न. ग्रुप वर्क or टीम वर्क. Okay, then this interviews also what students they get chance to involve in group activity, and they get chance to listen, speak, read and write. Cooperative projects also very interesting and useful activity. Students they get project, they work in the group, they visit the field and collect the required information, and they analyze the information, they draw the conclusion, and they share in the classroom. If they do like this, visiting community or the target place and collecting required information, analyzing them, then drawing conclusion, then presenting in the mass, in the group, in the whole class. So in this way, feelings of we, हामी भन्ने भावना आउँछ के cooperative मा चाहिँ our conclusion, our presentation, our learning, our discussion, this kind of our feel, not we, not I होइन कि हाम्रो भन्ने भावना आउँछ. So communicative games also what? In communicative games also, students, they get chance to involve, to engage, to share, they get opportunity. Okay. So these are what यो सबै एक्टिभिटीहरुमा यसो हेर्यौ भने बच्चाहरुको engagement हुन्छ, they get chance to interact, to communicate, to share their ideas with each other, त्यो feeling हुन्छ. Then what they get opportunity to learn in the group from each other, एक अर्काबाट चाहिँ सिक्ने अवसर पाउँछ हैन. This is the beauty of what cooperative approach. यसको सुन्दरता भनेकै त्यो सँगसँगै सिक्ने, सबैले सिक्ने, सबैको सहभागिता, सबैले आफ्नो आफ्नो विचार राख्न पाउने, a kind of community जस्तै एउटा environment we create and we learn from each other. त्यो नै हो. त्यस कारणले एक्टिभिटीहरुमा पनि हामी त्यस्तै एक्टिभिटी सिलेक्ट गर्नु पर्यो. जिक्सा एक्टिभिटीज, टीमवर्क, ग्रुप वर्क, थिंक, पेयर एन्ड शेयर, हैन, and interviews, cooperative projects, communicative games we can use in the class according to cooperative language learning approach. Yes, do we need to write, do you need to describe these activities, or you can do yourself? आफै गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ कि लेख्न पर्छ? Can you write? Okay. Yes. Prakash expects. Yeah, Prakash expects much. Okay. Third कुरा लेखौँ त त्यसमा. We do ourselves as यही points describe होइन. Yes, यही pointलाई describe गर्ने भनेको. These are the activities. Jigsaw activities is one activity we selected here. Now, how we use jigsaw in the class? Brief and basic steps we have to mention. Group work or teamwork, how we conduct this activity in the class. Brief and basic step we mention. Think, pair and share. Think, pair and share मा त यति नै लेख्दै पनि हुन्छ. Individual learners, they think individually at first. पहिला के गर्छ? यहाँ यसलाई लेखिदिएन. At first, सबैभन्दा पहिला हैन, every individual learner thinks on the topic, thinks about the topic individually. पहिलो स्टेप हो यो हैन. At first, every individual learner thinks about the given topic, about the given topic individually. Second, दोस्रोमा के गर्छ? They are paired with the close friends, or they can also select their pairs. Yeah, variation ल्याउनको लागि के गर्न सकिन्छ भने they can select their pair according to their needs, interest, उनीहरुको आवश्यकता अनुसार पेयरिङ पनि गर्न सक्छ. तर अर्को पेयरिङ भनेको टीचर क्यान मेक pairs of students by using who are close to them or adjacent भन्छ, near to them, नजिककोलाई चाहिँ पेयर बनाइदिन सक्छ. सेकेन्ड. थर्ड, what they do, they share. Third, they share in the pair. So यति तीनटा कुरा लेखिदिनुहुन्छ थिंक, पेयर एन्ड शेयर मा चाहिँ. ओके. So some of you have asked what is jigsaw. Jigsaw is different. What is zigzag? Jigsaw zigzag. Okay. Group home group and export group. I think in my previous classes I talked a lot about jigsaw. त्यहाँ चाहिँ दुईटा ग्रुप हुन्छ म यहाँ लेखिदिन्छु होम ग्रुप एउटा हुन्छ एक्सपोर्ट ग्रुप अर्को हुन्छ होम ग्रुपमा कसरी जान्छ भने फर्स्ट टीचर divides teacher selects the text select the text and divide the text into different 4 to 5 4 to 5 groups. Divide the text into 4 to 5 pieces PIEs pieces. Accordingly students will be learners will be divided into 4 to 5 groups. 4 to 5 pieces छ हैन 4-5 वटा पिस बनाए टेक्स्टलाई 4-5 वटा प्याराग्राफमा होला 4-5 वटा के प्रब्लम टास्क होला. Accordingly learners are divided into 4 to 5 groups. 4-5 वटा पिस छ 4-5 वटा ग्रुपमा बनाइदियो स्टुडेन्टलाई हैन. each group will have equal number of participants PANT is equal number of participant बराबर नम्बर हुन्छ. 3-4 ग्रुप छ भने एउटा ग्रुपमा 4 जना हुन्छ 4 जना हुने भयो हैन. And teacher distributes teacher distributes the text text. We are reading reading text reading text यहाँ पनि भन्दियौ reading text reading text and divide the text divides teacher divides the text into 4 to 5 pieces. According learners will be divided into 4 to 5 groups. Each group will have equal number of participants, and teacher distributes the reading text to each group. They read in their group आफ्नो ग्रुपमा छलफल गर्छ. हो यो ग्रुपलाई चाहिँ होम ग्रुप भन्छ के यति चाहिँ होम ग्रुप हो. This is what home group. यहाँ होम ग्रुप आउँछ हैन. फर्स्ट टीचर selects the reading text. अब यहाँ हामीले जिक्सा रिडिङ भनौँ हैन. अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो जिक्सा रिडिङ को बारेमा छ. जिक्सा रिडिङ this is the one classroom activity. First teacher selects the reading text and divides the text into 4 to 5 pieces. Accordingly, so यो अनुसार के गर्छ learners will be divided into 4 to 5 groups. Each group will have equal number of participants 4 4 4 5 5 5 जतिवटा ग्रुप छ त्यतिवटा ग्रुपमा 4 4 4 5 5 छ हैन. And teacher distributes the reading text to each group. प्रत्येक ग्रुपले पाउँछ reading text. Group A paragraph 1, group B paragraph 2, group 3 paragraph 3, group 4 paragraph 4 यसरी दिन सक्छ टिचरले हैन. And they read in their group. प्रत्येक ग्रुपले आफ्नो ग्रुपले पाएको चाहिँ काम हैन टेक्स्ट पढ्छ. This is called यो एउटा ग्रुप छ यो ग्रुप भनेको होम ग्रुप हो. अब आउँछ एक्सपोर्ट ग्रुपमा हैन. Continuously after their reading and discussion on the given topic after their reading and discussion on the given topic teacher reforms the groups. Oh yeah, reformation हुन्छ के group को. Reformation हुने बित्तिकै अब कसरी reform गर्छ भने teacher के आवाज हो. Teacher teacher brings one member from each group. एउटा ग्रुपबाट एउटा मेम्बर तान्छ हैन. Teacher brings one member from each group and will form another new group. And will form another new group. There will also be 4 groups. There will also be कति ग्रुप हुने हो 4 to 5 ग्रुप्स नै हुने हैन. फेरि एक जना तान्दै ग्रुप बना एक जना तान्दै एक अर्को ग्रुप बनाउँछ भने चाहिँ सेम नम्बर अफ ग्रुप विल बी फर्म. उति नै नम्बरको चाहिँ ग्रुप बन्छ हैन. And we will form another group. There will be the 4 to 5 groups at last हैन. अन्तमा त्यो भन्छ these groups भनौं न. These groups are called expert groups. प्रत्येक ग्रुपमा के छ भने प्याराग्राफ 1 2 3 4 बाट रिप्रेजेन्ट गरेको छ के त्यसैले त्यो प्याराग्राफको चाहिँ उ चाहिँ एक्सपर्ट हो के. So they are called what? Expert, and this is called expert groups. पहिलाको चाहिँ होम ग्रुप थियो, आफ्नो होम ग्रुप छ हैन. होम ग्रुपमा छलफल गर्यो. त्यो होम ग्रुपबाट एक जना तानेर अर्को ग्रुप बनाउँदाखेरि नि त्यो टेक्स्टको त्यो कन्टेन्टको त्यो प्याराग्राफको चाहिँ तिनीहरु के भयो एक्सपर्ट भयो के. So they are called expert. Now they share their discussion in the new group. So if we do these activities or these steps, what happens? के हुन्छ त? Students get chance to share, to participate, to contribute, to learn each other. So because of this what? Cooperative language learning approach believes adopting this kind of activity in day-to-day language teaching class. यसरी जान्छ यो है. Yes, this is also कुनै पाठलाई विभिन्न पार्ट टाइम समूहमा कक्षालाई विभिन्न समूहमा विभाजित गरी छलफल चलाउनु र सामूहिक अवधारणाबाट टुङ्गो सिकाइ अझै भएको छैन यहाँ. अझै यो आधा भयो. यो धनराज has written here कुनै पाठलाई विभिन्न पार्ट टाइम समूहमा टुक्र्याउने र कक्षालाई विभिन्न समूहमा विभाजित गरी छलफल चलाउनु र सामूहिक अवधारणाबाट टुङ्गो सिकाइ हासिल. नो अझै यहाँ एउटा स्टेप. यो चाहिँ होम ग्रुपमा मात्र बस्नु भयो तपाई, एक्सपर्ट ग्रुपमा आउनु भएको छैन. विभाजित गरी छलफल चलाउनु, they discuss, they learn from in the group. Now अब दोस्रो स्टेप के हुन्छ नि यहाँबाट फेरि ग्रुप रिफर्मेसन हुन्छ. ग्रुप रिफर्मेसन भइसकेपछि so one participant from group A, one participant from group B, one participant from group C, one participant from group D. भनेपछि 4 मेम्बर तानिन्छ. Then there will be one new group. Again, one member from group A, one member from 2, one member from 3, one member from 4. अर्को नयाँ group 2 बन्छ. One member from group A, one member from group B, one member from group C, one member from group D. Again, another new group will be formed. The नयाँ प्रत्येक ग्रुपबाट एक जना ल्याउँदै गर्दाखेरि so we can do this. Sir, please peer and peer conclusion. So peer is peer kind of this is adult also and of I think equal level of experience, understanding something. Peer means of diversity will be there, especially in activities we use PAIR pair. PER भनेको peer coaching भन्छ नि. Peer coaching हरु एकले अर्कालाई सपोर्ट गर्छ. यो मेच्योर्डमा एडल्टमा हैन जान्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ यो PAIR pair चाहिँ. And this is what diversity हुन सक्छ हैन. बच्चा जस्तो पनि जुन लेभलको पनि आउन सक्छ हैन. So you can check the dictionary also. Immediately online यसो चेक गरिहाल्नु न. तर टास्कहरुमा चाहिँ PAIR peer work लेखिरा हुन्छ. हामीले PER peer work लेख्दैन. Peer coaching चाहिँ लेख्छ. How many times reform groups? Only one time. Reformation only one time. We reform. Then what happens? New groups will be formed. They are called as expert groups. Now they share. Right? In this way, what jigsaw reading we do, jigsaw listening same. Right? So in this way, then cooperative language learning will be here. Learning from each other will be here. Right? Group work ma pani we divide into different groups. Right? Teacher divides how do you utilize or how do you adopt भने I भन्नुहुन्छ तपाईले डट त्यसरी जानु होला है त. ल यो यति गरे. नेक्स्ट क्वेशनमा जाऊ. You can do this है. तपाईले गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. I think communicative games, a lot of you know. Design any 5 language activities that can be used to develop principles of natural approach. Design any 5 language activities that can be used to develop principles of natural approach. Natural approach को principle के हो बुझ्न पर्यो यसमा हैन. What are the principles of natural approach? This we have to understand. Then we have to design 5 activities. So sample answer I have mentioned here. यसलाई हेरौँ न त. Simple answer sir. Natural approach to language learning is an example of communicative approach. यो पनि communicative approach को example हो. त्यही भएर कोर्समा तपाईलाई communicative approaches भनिदिएको हो. Communicative approach आफैमा छ, natural approach आफैमा छ, this cooperative approach, content based approach, content and language integrated approach, these all are the examples of communicative approach. So they are the communicative approaches. त्यही भएर भनेको है. So communicative approach. Language learning for communication is the focus of natural approach. Language learning is किन सिक्छौं भाषा communication गर्न. त्यही हो natural approach को पनि claim. Natural approach also claims that why do we learn language? We learn language for the communication. संचारकै लागि सिकिन्छ भाषा. Naturalistic learning principles are followed. यो चाहिँ सम्झनुस्. Naturalistic learning principles. The naturalistic learning principles means how we learn first language. In the same way, same process, same activities we can use while learning foreign language, second language. So naturalistic language learning principles are at the heart of this approach. केन्द्रबिन्दुमा हुन्छ naturalistic learning principles. यसको मेन क्लेम, अर्को मेन क्लेम भनेको comprehensible language input हो. क्रासनले यो भन्छ I+1 भन्छ हैन. Comprehensible language input, not so vast, not so simple. So what? Comprehensible language input, if we provide, then what? That determines the progress of language learning. So comprehensible input is what necessary भन्छ हैन. यसको क्लेम एउटा के हो? Comprehensible language input. अर्को क्लेम के हो? Naturalistic learning principles should be followed हैन. So that determines the progress of language learning. Comprehension should precede production. Then यो पनि बुझ्नु पर्यो. Comprehension भनेको understanding बुझ्ने हो, should lead language production. पहिला comprehension हुन्छ, पहिला बुझिन्छ, त्यसपछि मात्र के हुन्छ? Language production हुन्छ. बुझ्दै नबुझिकन without comprehension or without understanding, we cannot produce, we cannot share, communicate, collaborate, negotiate in language class. The comprehension is necessary. Comprehension कसरी हुन्छ फेरि? अब कुन स्किललाई फोकस गर्ने? रिसेप्टिभ स्किललाई फोकस गर्ने कि प्रोडक्टिभ स्किललाई फोकस गर्ने? So natural approach focuses on receptive skills first. पहिला रिसेप्टिभ स्किल आउनु पर्छ भन्छ यो एप्रोचले चाहिँ हैन. According to this approach, receptive skills are what? important, will focus. Receptive skill, listening and reading are the receptive skills. When we listen and when we read, we get language inputs. Then language inputs are the foundation for the language development. कति राम्रो राधा खड्काजीले कति राम्रो गर्नु भएको छ कोरेर हैन अरु साथीहरुले कति कोर्नु भएको छ हैन राधा खड्काजी कोर्नु भएको छ नि है कति राम्रो हो यस्तो कोर्नु पर्छ यो प्राइमरी को साथीहरु चुप लाएर बस्नुस् एकछिन यो अनावश्यक यो सब यो च्याट बक्स अफ गरिदिनुस् त नचन कोरले एकछिन हामी कुरा गर्छौं यहाँ comprehension should lead language production. So according to this approach, receptive skills, listening and reading should be focused on before productive skills. Productive skills what? Productive skill, this is what that is speaking and writing. Yes, speaking and writing activity comes later. First, receptive skills, listening, speaking. When we receive, adequate or rich language inputs, that will create a kind of foundation for language learning. Then what happens? Then slowly we speak and what we write. And this was production, performance. पहिलाको चाहिँ हामी साइलेन्ट पिरियडै बिताइरा हुन्छ के साइलेन्ट पिरियड भनेको we go on receiving language inputs हामी language inputs लिँदै जान्छौं then after when we feel confident when we feel mature then we start speaking so natural learning natural approach ले चाहिँ के भन्छ नि so comprehensive language input should be provided listening and reading should be focused first when they listen and read language inputs they receive and they create a kind of foundation for the language learning then slowly what performance part or production part will be encouraged they share they communicate they speak they write and they express their internal feelings and meanings and messages so receptive skill should be first then what productive skill they were the which skills do you teach first receptive or productive according to natural approach we have to focus receptive first because the reason is that when learners they get chance to listen and read they get language inputs when they get rich language inputs they create what foundation for language learning then slowly what they shift towards the production or the performance of language that is what productive skills is Dina पर्छ होला this means learners should first receive language rich language inputs or ample exposure in English ample exposure in English learners should get exposure in English inside and outside the classroom उनीहरुले भित्र बाहिर कक्षा कोठा भित्र बाहिर मजाले इंग्लिश बोल्न पाउनु पर्यो exposure पाउनु पर्यो पहिला then only what slowly and gradually they develop as what competent speakers competent learners in English slowly so this is the principles of what natural approach in language learning okay the five different language activities that can be used to develop the principle of natural approach in lower secondary level students are given below अब यसमा चाहिँ यसो हेरौं हामी the mistakes in reading activity jigsaw reading here also jigsaw reading because this is naturalistic learning activity in receiving language inputs like listening reading हुन पर्यो के when they listen and then read what happens language inputs will be received त्यसको लागि चाहिँ jigsaw reading मा पनि in group they read they discuss reading of course happens at the same time they also discuss and interact when they discuss and interact listening also will be there from others they will receive input एउटा त पढेर आफै पढेर चाहिँ ल्याङ्ग्वेज इनपुट लिन्छ अर्को कुरा साथीहरुको कुरा सुनेर चाहिँ ल्याङ्ग्वेज इनपुट लिन्छ दिस इज कल्ड व्हाट जिक्सा रिडिङ हामीले हेरिसकेका छौं जिक्सा रिडिङमा हुन्छ मिस्टेक्स इन रिडिङ अल्सो students they listen to the teachers reading they also follow the teachers they also follow the textbook then they listen and they try to find out where the teacher has committed mistakes teacher le कहीं mistake गरेको छ कि छैन भनेर उनीहरुले पत्ता लगाउनु पर्छ त्यसो हुँदाखेरि they pay attention also they listen to the teacher also at the same time they read in the textbook भनेको सुन्छ पनि पढ्छ पनि both listening and reading happen at the same time, so language inputs the issue. बोल्दैन यसमा चाहिँ mistakes and reading मा बोल्दैन, but what happens, listening will be there and reading will be there. So when they listen and read, they receive the language input. When they receive the language input, they create the foundation for the language further development. Already language development like input like हुन्छ हैन. Okay, total physical response is another this is method actually, total physical TPR, and TPR is method, but under this method there are some activities like command based activity. Command means okay, stand up, sit down, go there, come here, touch your nose, touch your head. These are what different commands, and accordingly they do. touch your head भन्दा बच्चाले छोइदिन्छ, टाउको छोइदिन्छ, sit down भन्दा बस्दिन्छ, stand up उठ्दिन्छ भनेको total physical, mentally and physically they involve. हैन, त्यो भनेको के हो भने they get command, they listen and they act. हैन, they act. So अनि प्राविको साथीहरुमा थोरै अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ छैन क्या, यो च्याट सब बन्द गरिदिनुस् त, अलि मेच्योर हुनु पर्यो. कति भएको छ भर्खर 36 35 भएको छ, जे मलाई त्यो लेख्ने हो 6:40 पढ्दा के हुन्छ तपाईहरुलाई. यो सब च्याट बक्स सब बन्द गर्नुस् है, यो नत्र म बोल्दै क्लास लिन्न. त्यो वाइगा जे मलाई त्यो लेखेको छ, यो च्याट बक्समा लेख्नु भने यहाँ आको तपाईहरु त 5 मिनेट्स वेट गर्न सक्नुहुन्न. तपाईले यो कुरा सुन्दा के भइरा, तपाईको इंग्लिश त प्राइमेरीको इंग्लिश छ छैन, हुन्छ हुन्न प्राइमेरीको इंग्लिश, थोरै आइडिया त्यहाँबाट आउँछ आउँदैन, हावा तरिकाले गर्नुहुन्छ. जे मलाई त्यति लेख्नु च्याट बक्समा, तपाईको प्रब्लम मात्र लेख्नु यहाँ च्याट बक्समा, बुझ्नु भएन, कन्टेन्ट बुझ्नु भएन, छलफल तपाईको क्युरियोसिटी लेख्नु हो. स्क्रिन कोरेको छ च्याट बक्समा, जे मलाई त्यति लेखेको छ. कति इमेच्योर हो तपाईहरु, अनि तपाईहरुलाई चाहिँ थाई टिचर हुनु पर्यो हैन, बिहेभियर चेन्ज गर्नु पर्यो, अब अलि मेच्योर हुनु पर्यो, अलि प्रोफेसनल हुनु पर्यो, सिक्नु पर्यो नि कुरा. कम्पिटिसनमा जाने कुरा हो, यो कुरा हो, सिक्नु पर्यो, अलि पाको हुनु पर्यो, अलि धैर्य गर्नु पर्यो, सबैको कुरा सुन्नु पर्यो, आफ्नै कुरा मात्र सुनाउने हो. ओके, थ्यांक यू. सो यसरी जाउँ. यो natural approach त्यति गाह्रो छैन. So I have given here. So if you need further help, I will give the complete answer of this question. So thank you so much for today's class.